Thanks for joining me on the Strategic Thinking podcast. It's where we talk about technology in the way that it shows up in real life. This show lives in the messy middle between strategy and the day-to-day, keeping learning, work and operations moving in the midst of all the other demands on our plate. Most of all, the people that we work with and that we lead. I'm James Symons, and each episode I sit down with IT leaders, operators and builders across schools, universities and workplaces. Our promise is simple: practical and candid conversations that just may help IT leaders make technology work while being acutely aware of our responsibilities as leaders of people. If you're here, you're welcome. Pull up a seat and join us. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
Well, undeniable impact.
Yes.
This is a word that I saw described. I'm sure if anyone Googled you or, went to the AI, they would get that word pop up. Mm-hmm. How has that become something that is synonymous with you or your career or what it is that you do?
Great question. So my team, unfortunately, was abolished at the end of last year, just with budget cuts. And so I went from a team of 21 to a team of 13. And so over the summer, before my team came back to work, I was just thinking, how can we continue to scale our impact and what we do, and in a way that's still going to be meaningful, that we can build capacity, and we can still really do our jobs with fewer people. And so, of course, talking to my best friend, ChatGPT, just having lots of conversation and ideating and throwing in a lot of ideas, this topic of undeniable impact surfaced. And the more I sat with it, I choose a word of the year every year, too. So, you have to sit with it and it has to feel good. The more I sat with it, I was like, that's it. And it really has been our North Star for the whole year. And I carry it personally, and we carry it as a team as well.
We sometimes have a little joke about all of the words that can be thrown around these days that we don't necessarily understand what they're meaning or what's behind them. Especially on LinkedIn, we're seeing a lot of amazing stuff that I just can't put my head around and work out specifically what does that mean. So if you were to say the way that you're teaching that, the way you're leading, using this term this year, what does it mean? Why'd you pick that? Undeniable, meaning probably sounds a little silly that me saying, what does the word mean? I want to know what it means to you and how do you put that across to your team?
Yeah. Undeniable impact to me just means that there's never a question about what we do or how we do it. Instructional technology is always viewed as the sexy, shiny tool. Maybe we'll use the instructional technologist, maybe we won't. Because the focus is curriculum and instruction, right? Everybody, the reason why we're in school is to teach kids. They have to learn. They've got to do well on their assessments and then graduate from high school. And so when we come along, sometimes we are viewed as, oh, here come the instructional technologists. And so I don't ever want anyone to question what we do. And we lead with the content. We're not in here to show you this new software or this new tool. We are truly here to lead with the content. And so I don't want anyone to ever question my team's capacity, what they're able to do, the ideas they bring to the table, how they can impact instruction. And so I just want everyone to understand that kind of topic and that it is undeniable what we do every day.
We started a little bit at the middle. Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
You've talked about a team that was significantly decreased in size. What is the scale of the work that this team was doing and is now doing with literally half the people? Give us a little bit of background of the school, where you're at, the size, and the size of your workload. What are you ultimately responsible for with your team?
This is so funny. That little asterisk at the end of your job description that says other job duties and responsibilities as assigned, it's huge. So we had a team. We've been as large as 39. We're down to, last year we were at 21 and this year we're down. There's 13 of us total. And so Atlanta Public Schools, about 50,000 students, over 80 campuses. And so I have 2 district-based people. I have myself as a director, and then I have 10 ed tech specialists that are in the schools. And each of them has about 7 schools each that they support. And then we support programming on top of that. So everything that we do, from them being in the classrooms every day, modeling lessons, co-teaching lessons, helping teachers lesson plan, observing teachers for effective tech integration, all of these kind of things. In addition, they get pulled to do things like a principal may say, we're having an award ceremony. Can you come and live stream that for our parents that can't be here? We're having a PTA meeting. Can you come and talk to our parents about social media and the dangers of social media, or this whole conversation around screen time right now, which is so huge. AI, all these different topics that are coming up, those words that are on LinkedIn that you shared, they're getting pulled to do all these different things. In addition to that, we have tons of programming. So we have an elementary and middle school esports program that we do every year. We have our annual technology and innovation competition that we have. We have our film festival. We did our first AI conference this year, which was a huge success. And so we're a small but mighty team, and we love what we do. Everybody is amazing. Everybody has these talents that we're able to pull on and really hone in on everybody's strengths. And so they get pulled to do a lot, and there's few of us, and I know everybody is stressed, but because we all respect each other so much, everybody just comes together and does what needs to be done.
What had to give? And when you've gone from 40 to 13, something had to give.
Yeah. So from the 39 to the 21, it was a grant that ended. So that's why we lost those people. And then we went from down to 13 where we are now. It was budget cuts, right? And so I know we can't do everything because we have such a smaller team. I haven't let anything go yet, though, which is probably not a good thing. We've just really found a way to make it work. I'm reflecting on that question as I'm responding. I really haven't let anything go as a director. We have kept the balls up in the air. I will say this, for the team that is in the schools, the 10 that are in the schools every day, we have gone from a model where they're in one school every single day, 5 days a week, because they only had 5 schools, right? So they could be at one school Monday, another Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, because they have 7 to 8 schools each, they're not able to do that. There's only 5 days in a week. So I would say that's the one thing we've kind of had to let go a little bit. But we've kind of counteracted that and found a way to be a little bit more intentional about the way that we deliver our trainings. And so we've done some of them virtually, which everything was face-to-face. So we've done some virtually so schools across the district can tune in and kind of get that learning that they need as well.
You said when we met earlier, did you talk about Alabama? You've got some background there. Was that you're in Atlanta right now?
I'm in Atlanta.
Right. Did you say anything about, was that?
We did. We talked about the Space Center in Alabama.
Oh, that's where you went.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. We can edit this out. This is James Lake. Because then I'm like, no, hang on. You told me that, you were Canada. All right, so that's where I can go. So if we rewind even more, you noticed my beautiful Canadian socks with the maple leafs on them, and you said you're from Canada.
Yeah.
So which part, how did you get from Canada to the US? And just briefly, how did your journey go right through to a executive position at a massive school district in Atlanta?
So my journey is a little unique. So my father is actually Jamaican. His whole family's from Jamaica. They picked up and moved to England, which is where he met my mom. They got married and had my twin brother and I. And so then everybody picked up and moved to Canada, to Toronto. So we're not military. We just ended up in Toronto, Canada. Why they picked that place, I have no idea. So I was there until the end of 3rd grade. And then we moved to Southern California, and my dad's family ended up in New York, and my mom's family stayed in Canada. And so we're all over the place. My mom actually lives in Phoenix, Arizona now. So I came to Georgia to go to college. I met my husband my freshman year of college. We've been together ever since. And so that's how I ended up in Georgia. I majored in biology pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor. I had no interest in being a teacher. But when I think back to, being in the garage and playing library by myself, because I had brothers, they didn't want to play with me, or, teaching my dolls and things like that, like there was always some kind of teaching component there. After college, I needed a job and didn't want to look for a job. And I was working retail at the time. And the district manager said, "Hey, do you want to be a manager?" And I said, sure, I have this biology pre-med degree, but I will manage this retail store. And I did that for a number of years. And so customer service is something that is deeply embedded in me. And it's a lot of who I am and how I run my team and all of the things that I do every day. It's so important. And so then I had my second son, and I said, okay, retail is not sustainable. You're only off guaranteed Easter and Christmas. Those are the only 2 days of the year the mall is closed. I quit my job and became a substitute teacher. Did that for 2 weeks. A full-time science position opened at the school I was subbing at. I applied. The principal looked me in my eyes and said, I see something in you. I'm going to take a chance on you. You're going to be my star baby and you're going to make me proud. I get chills every time I tell that story. And she did. She hired me and she took a chance on me. I didn't have a teaching degree. I didn't know how to teach. I walked into this high school classroom with kids that were way taller than me and, probably not that big of an age difference with me at that point, and started teaching high school science. And then I transitioned to professional learning after some years and then ended up in ed tech. And now I'm the director of instructional technology. So such an unconventional path, but I love it and I wouldn't change anything.
Wow.
Long story short.
You know what? You did that very well, actually.
Thank you.
That was really brief. We talked earlier, you said, you mentioned just as a throwaway comment around screen time, which is a really hot topic right now. You got 50,000 students on screens. So how do you hold any sort of strong views, or if you do hold strong views about kids and screen time, how do you see that implemented throughout a district? And do you believe that you're able to hold true to your values of what you think and see that rolled out? Or do you sometimes feel that you're at just a completely different perspective to say maybe what the majority view would be and you're like, yeah, I've just got to deal with it? Or do you feel you can have some impact through your own views? And I'd love to hear what your views are.
I have such strong views on screen time. Oh my! So if I just keep talking too much, just tell me to be quiet.
This is great.
I feel like when we talk about screen time, these books that have been published, all the research that's out there, everybody loves to say, oh, I have research that says this. I can find any research to counter what your research says. So the whole thing about research says, I'm so over that. But what I do believe is that we are in the year 2026 and our students do not learn the same way that we learned growing up. They have been born with the internet, with Wi-Fi, with, Wi-Fi, internet, computers, tablets. They have these cell phones in their pockets that do any and everything you could possibly imagine. And so I don't...
And now they've got Claude.
And now they've got Claude, right. Where was that when we were growing up? But I just believe that there has to be a balance, right? I understand students need to learn how to play with each other and socialize. There is always time for that, of course, but there is also a need for screens in the year that we live in. And there does have to be balance. I will never say, no, don't use paper and pencil or don't go outside and play. No, kids need that. We know that. It's socially important. It's emotionally important. It forms who you are, right? But in this year that we're in and in the future that our students are going into, there has to be a balance. There's this conversation in our district now about screen time policy. And so it is still kind of in the works, but it's being proposed that we do minute limits for our elementary students and then percentage limits for our secondary students. And I understand why that's being proposed. I do, as the director of instructional technology. Natasha Rachell is like, why? And I'm still trying to figure out a way to eloquently put this together. And I need to sit down with Claude and get it together one day. But our students don't learn the way that we did, and we can't expect that they will. It's just not. I think our fear is being projected onto our kids, right? So we can't just sit here and say, well, we wrote our spelling words 5 times each on Monday, and then Tuesday we used them in a sentence, and that's fine. But there's other ways that students can show the mastery of their content. They are able to collaborate with each other. They're able to create and produce. I mean, look at this amazing podcast, right? Like, this wasn't even a possibility when we were kids. And now we're sitting here with all of this amazing equipment, having this great conversation that millions of people could tune in and listen to. Learning is being transformed at a scale right now that we just can't even imagine. So I know I'm on a soapbox, but just long story short, there has to be a balance. And yeah, that's kind of the hill that I'm standing on.
We don't have to keep this short, actually. I think we should lean into this because you're a very unique voice.
Thank you.
There is a lot going around on, again, use the word abolished earlier, wanting to abolish this to some degree. And I remember my nephew, I was chatting with my brother-in-law, Luke, probably like 6, 7, 8 years ago. And he was talking about his boys after school are getting onto a computer playing games, but they've got their headphones on and they're talking. And early on, there was that tension as a parent going, are my kids on screens too much? And then he said, they're chatting to their friends the same way we would chat to our friends, like no different. They would come over after school, we would hang out. Yeah, we might be throwing a ball while we're doing it. We might be watching TV. Remember, we still had a screen, right? So, but he was like, they're engaging. They're having their conversations. They're talking about what's happening. They're building things with Minecraft together.
Yes.
They're like, there was so much creativity, but also positive conversational engagement that was occurring. And he goes, it's just different to how we did. And so often we just think
different.
that
Yes.
it's worse. It's not. Why are we thinking, oh no, the way we do it was right? Because our grandparents believed that their way was right, and their grandparents,
it's relative to the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so, but that was a real turning point for me, because that gave me a lot of permission to just ease off with my own daughter. And now my daughter, oh my gosh, it frustrates the heck of me. I've got a 12-year-old, and in Australia we've got the social media ban, so there is no under 16. They're not on social media. Again, we could go into that. I'm actually a huge advocate for that because I think that's a different dynamic, social media, to just screen time,
Absolutely.
Right? But it's so funny. They'll FaceTime each other. They'll just be talking while, like, she gets up in the morning and she's doing her hair. She puts it in front of the mirror and they're talking while her friend's doing her hair and they're just talking about the day and what they're doing. And I'm like, why is this bad? This is wonderful that they're engaging and having those conversations where I would have gone, no, it's time to get off a screen now. It's like, why? Like, it's time to stop talking and being sociable. Like, don't get me wrong. There are also limits where we're like, hey, put that away. Let's come down and hang out with us.
Yes.
Like, So it's finding that balance, but it's just I think the black and white view that we did have, and I get it. There has to be a pendulum swing back to say, actually, there is a large demographic of kids that are just on screens and not even able to socialize with adults. So I get that as well. And so where do you see that occurring? Like, so while you are a big proponent for this and not necessarily, you're looking at the bigger picture of what's actually happening, it's a different style. Do you also see the damage, though, of just that extensive screen time affecting human, adult, personal relationships with other adults or teachers?
I think so. I think a few things here. I do want to just start and say all screen time is not equal, right? So if a student is on their screen, they're creating a podcast, they're creating a video or something that's showing a portfolio showing mastery of their learning, I'm 100% A-okay with screen use for that, 100%, right? But for a student that's just sitting, and I'm going to say a child or a young person, because you're a student at school, you're always a student, but you're a student from 8 to 4 or 7 to 3, and then you do have to go home, and you have parents at home that can monitor your screen time at home, right? And I think that's the screen time, because when we say screen time, we put it all into one big bucket. I think that's what we do as society, like, oh, it's screen time, but there's a difference between what our students are doing at school and what they're doing at home. They're scrolling on their phones for hours on end. I'm so guilty of it. I get my screen report every Sunday on my phone, and I'm like, oh, wow, I really need to cut back. So I've started doing things like adult coloring books and teaching myself how to crochet and all these kinds of things, paint by numbers. And so I do understand there does have to be a balance, but I think our parents do need to take a little bit more responsibility now that I'm putting my director hat back on. And when we say screen time, there's a difference between, like I said, what's happening in school and what your child is doing in their bedroom with the door closed for hours on end. And so, I do believe in, having like a family like station at home where kids can plug in their cell phones and their laptops downstairs and not in their bedrooms. Or, using the different parameters that you have on your phones that you can, block certain times that your kids can be on their phones or their devices. I just think we need to stop bucketing them into the same bucket because it's two totally different things. But we just say screen time and we put it all together, and it's not the case. But I do, to your question, I know I kind of went around. I do think kids scrolling on end is not a good thing for sure. I definitely agree with that. Our youngest son, who has grown up in this era of nonstop technology, he's 22 now. There are times, when he was in high school where we had to say, to your point, come downstairs, come hang out with us. you just have to, I think as a parent, you have to find balance for your kid, whether, allowing them to be on screen sometimes, putting them in sports or different social events or clubs or activities. Like, you're the parent, you control that for your kid. So if you're complaining that your kid is on their screen too much, well, what are you doing to counter that, to not have them be on their screens? So I think there's a responsibility, and there has to be collaboration between the home and school to make that happen.
As you know, I do pretty little research on my guests before they come onto the show for a few reasons. One, I'm not a big prep guy, but also two, I want to be as curious as possible as we have these conversations. I did see another point, something that you actually wrote in for a journal that was a journal for traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
I was really curious. That seemed to not line up with anything to do with K-12 education technology. Are you comfortable to talk about that and tell me a little bit about what that is?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So I have a twin brother. We were talking earlier, and in 2016, he was in a really bad car accident, and his car flipped over 3 times. He had to be cut out of the car because it landed kind of on its side. And so he was in a coma for 10 days. He was in California at the time, and I was in Atlanta. It was a Sunday morning. It's weird when something traumatic happens, like you remember exactly what you were doing, or, I was at the grocery store and I was reaching for a can of chickpeas. Why I remember that, I have no idea. But my little brother called and he was just frantic, and he said, Jermaine was in a car accident. You need to call Mom. My mom lives in Phoenix, and he couldn't get a hold of her. So I'm like, a car accident? Like, slow down. What are you talking about? And he was like, he's in the ICU. And I'm like, whoa, this is like for real. So, I was trying to get a hold of my mom. Like, I'm standing in the grocery store, like crying, everyone's walking by, buying their Sunday morning groceries. And we finally got a hold of her, and she was able to get to Southern California where he was. But he was in a coma for 10 days. He came out of the coma. I mean, weirdly enough, he didn't have any like gashes on his body. I think his collarbone was broken and he had a fractured pinky finger. But his brain, because he had flipped 3 times, just rattled around in his head. And so it caused him to have a traumatic brain injury. And so my mom is now his primary caregiver, and she's just the strongest woman I know. I'm not going to cry. But yeah, so he's just seeing him go through this has given me a total nother. You don't think about these things till it happens to you, right? Like my hotel that I'm staying in here, when I checked in, no rooms were ready, but they said we have an accessibility room if that's okay. And I was like, sure, I'll take it. And it's just interesting to see, nothing I've ever thought of before. The beds are lower and the sink is a little bit lower and things like that. And so because he is wheelchair bound and living with his brain injury, it's just giving me a different way to kind of look at things, and you start to look at accessibility a little bit different, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, all the things. And I think that's also made me look at things different in my work that I do every day, because yes, I work for all students, but until you personally have experience, I don't know that you really think about it and the things that you should be doing for children in that way.
Well, thank you for that. I apologize for
no worries.
If that wasn't a direction that you wanted to go.
No, it's fine. I love talking about it.
Do you? I thank you so much.
Yeah.
And incredibly inspiring. Something you just said then was really interesting. That's changed your framing now.
Yeah.
In the way that you see things. How's that with your leadership journey? Has that been changed at all because of that, and how, like what your lived experience, and we always talk about this, so your lived experience now of someone with this brain injury, and this piece that you wrote, was that just you sharing your journey and your story about that? Yeah. And was that I don't know anybody else.
I mean, now I do. Now that I talk about it, people will say, oh, my aunt or my dad, or so people start to talk about it in that, in that sense. But before then, I didn't know anybody that was, living with a brain injury, or anybody that had a family member that had a brain. You just don't talk about it until you talk about it, right? I do think in my leadership journey, it's made me more sympathetic and empathetic. I think I've always been, a soft person, and I care for people like deeply. But I think it's given me another vantage point and another view that everybody is dealing with something. Like if you just sit down and talk to people, everybody is dealing with something. If we all threw our problems in a pile, you'd be really quick to grab your problems back, right? So it's just made me a more sympathetic and empathetic leader. I think I'm more forgiving. Everybody's not going to do exactly what I need them to do, but it's made me more forgiving in knowing that everybody is different. And so, yeah, I would say, yeah.
At the school district, is there a big, as far as instructional technology is concerned, for what you're responsible for, does that lead to 50,000 students? Does that also include just inclusivity for disabilities or special ed?
Absolutely.
And how has that shaped with your, this is all under your purview with instructional technology, moving across into that space for the district? Is that something you've been involved with?
Yeah.
Like the not necessarily the tools, like you say, but the outcomes that can be achieved through technology. Have you seen some really interesting things? And has that passion come from your own experience to want to see those children engage with technology that could be really beneficial?
Absolutely, 100%. I just think about all of our students that technology has made even more things accessible for them, right? I think that all of our students need to have access, no matter who they are, what zip code they come from, what their disabilities are. And I think with technology, we're able to ensure that all of our students are even more successful than we were without them having it. So yeah, I definitely see use cases where the results of my team, and we've partnered a lot with like our special ed department for trainings and different things to make sure that their specialists and their coordinators are well-versed in what we do and vice versa. I think it's super important. I have a really good friend who used to work in a special ed classroom, and we talk all the time. And this is way back when I was a teacher. I would go visit him in his classroom, and it just gave me such a different respect for these students that are just students. They're just people, right? They're just different. And so just because they're different doesn't mean they don't deserve a great education and great adults that care about them. And so absolutely, yes.
So you've got a pretty big responsibility as a leader. You've got a really decent-sized team, regardless of how small it's gotten, and you've got a massive responsibility on your shoulders. You described yourself as, through your lived experience, you've become more empathetic. How important is that in your daily leadership? What excites you about leadership? And I would love to know, is this just something you fell into? You said you love teaching, but this is really different. Leadership is something else, and especially at a senior level. So what is it that truly inspires you there, and how would you describe yourself as a leader?
I think I've always been a leader, right? Like I don't want to use the term bossy, but all of my report cards when I was little, and every year it pops up in my memories, and I always repost it. And I say, shout out to all the ladies that your teacher told you talked too much in class, because that was me. I talked too much in class. So I've always been bossy, for lack of a better term. But I've led my brothers. As a matter of fact, my twin brother and I went to college together. And when we were filling out college applications, he kind of took a back seat, and I actually filled out his college application, and that's how we ended up going to school together. And I was like, this is where we're going. Let's go. And he was like, okay. So we had a great experience. But I've always even working in retail, this sounds so like self-absorbed. I've always been a leader. That sounds so whatever.
I don't think that at all. I think that sounds perfectly normal.
It's like I started running last week, and now I'm like, I'm a runner.
Yes.
Ran for 2 seconds. But what excites me about leadership is growing people. That is the thing that excites me about leadership, and it gets on my team's nerves. But I'm always like, what do you want to do next? How can I help you grow? What conferences do you want to go to? Do you need a mentor? Do you want to take, this? Do you want a strengths coach? Like I don't want people to be stagnant. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I don't want anyone to say I couldn't grow because my leader stifled me. I just love to see people grow and move on and, get better in a better financial situation or a better personal development situation. Or one of my team members is going to be on the ISTE stage on the last day, on the main stage. And I'm just like, go do it. I have another one that's always going to conferences and keynoting at, girl, go do it. Be great. I love that. I'm not the leader that feels like I can't have people on my team that are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but collectively we are the smartest team because we have the smartest people on the team. It's just my job to create the instances that allow people to grow and develop and be their best. And so what excites me is seeing people grow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also love that you answer questions so well. You're very concise with your answers. You don't go off on tangents like I do. You're just like straight to the point. No, you're brilliant. And would your leaders describe you in the same way that you describe yourself? Like you said, they probably get a bit annoyed when you say you keep asking them about their growth and their growth journey and how they want to do it. Are they kind of like, just shut up already? I'm fine how I am.
I do have a couple of them that they're very comfortable where they are. And I'm okay with that. I am. But we're still going to grow a little bit, right? Like there's always new software coming out or new updates. So we have to grow. We can't just be stagnant. But then I have some that are like, will you please be my mentor? And, will you help me? And can we meet once a week? And I'm like, yes, let's do it. I have another one that wants to go to this conference in December. And I said, send me the details. And so I'm going to send her to the conference. Like, people need to learn and grow. My dissertation was about alternatively certified teachers and how Maslow's hierarchy of needs really lends to the teaching profession for these people that are transitioning into teaching. And so what I found in my research study, not to get like nerdy or anything, is that we do have to meet these levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs for us to feel successful and fulfilled. And so when people are coming to me asking to go to conferences or can I go keynote at this conference, absolutely. You can, because we're at work almost more than we are at home. So if you're not fulfilled at work, when you're like, I don't want to say under my care, but under my leadership, that's a problem for me. I want you to feel fulfilled, tongue twister. I want you to feel happy. I want you to feel excited to come to work because we have a huge responsibility. We are training teachers and students every day. That is not a light responsibility at all. Like at our AI conference before it started, I got everybody in I always do these circles. They hate them. But I got everybody in a circle. And I said, y'all, we have a huge responsibility. Like, these teachers are here during the summer. We're not giving them a stipend. We have got to give them everything we've got for these next 6 hours. And I just need everybody to agree and nod that we're going to be on the same page. And we are just going to give them everything. They're here unpaid during the summer. Like, what an honor it is to serve in this capacity. And I truly believe that. And so even when we are getting a paycheck Monday through Friday, it's a huge responsibility. People kill to be in these positions. And you're here. So why would you not give your best every day?
I just did a 360 review with my team. 17 people reviewed me, and
they reviewed you.
Yes.
Oh, I want to hear about that.
All right. Okay. Yeah, maybe we could just do we could do a few episodes just on that.
Okay.
It's a pretty intense 360. The organization, we have a coach, and he does. He sends out, so the organization that he works with sends out an email to 17 people. So usually you do like your boss's boss, they might review you. Then you'd have your peers, then you'd have direct reports, then you'd have other. And so you pick 3 of those groups usually. And I suppose for what it is, it's really difficult for me. I don't have a boss. I have a board. So I've had some people on the board do that review, but really the team that I work very closely reviewed me. Some other direct reports reviewed me. Some other people within the organization, and then also some outside of the organization. And you pick a whole bunch in each, and so it ended up being 17. And it was a whole lot of multiple choice questions, but then there's 3 questions right at the end that are written, and it's all anonymous. The only ones that are not anonymous is your boss and your boss's boss, because you want to get that straight feedback. Yeah. And you also hope that it's nothing new that you haven't heard before, right? Like, it's just reaffirming. And so right at the end is this written part that says, what would you say the leader's greatest strengths are? What would you say their biggest work areas are? And then anything else is the third one. Anything else you'd like to say. Okay. And, you make sure that when you ask people to do this, you're not looking for people that are all yes people that they're going to say what you want them to hear. You also don't want to have people that have really got it against you. They've got, they're not going to really say anything that constructive. Like, the best way to describe it from my coach was, you want to know that you've got people in your corner. Yeah. And the good thing about that is they'll be very honest, and they were. A little too honest, no. It was great. Still working through some of this, though. And so you see these 17 verbatim written messages that people wrote about you that are your best qualities. And it's so endearing, but you go straight to the next one.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't care about those.
Yeah.
What do they say is crap?
Right.
And that's not the best way to go into this review. But it's really hard not to, but it's really good to look at that and go, yeah, okay, I can see that. And now the fact that like 7 out of 17 people say the same thing, maybe they're onto something.
Yeah.
This is a really roundabout way. I don't talked about it so much because you asked, but my question for you, because this podcast is about you, if you did that and you had a team of people around you do your review, I think it would be pretty easy to work out all of the positive things that they would say about you, because that's come out of you already in this very short conversation. People that love you, care for you, that are in your corner, what are some things that they might say, maybe Natasha could probably work in this area to be a better leader. She could maybe invest some time here. Maybe this is an area that needs a little work. What would your gut tell you would come out of that?
My gut would tell me, and now I'm going to give my team an anonymous survey because I really do want to know. I think it helps us grow, right?
I'll connect you to my coach. He can do it with all of this. He's a wonderful guy, Travis Fitch.
Yes, Travis, I'll be calling you. I think just off the top of my head, the first thing that would come to mind, so I talk to my AI person every morning on the way to work. Like I just do. And so it knows me very, very well, and it's hard for me to switch over to a different version because it knows me so well. And so I'm always getting these ideas and I'm ideating, and I'll just call my team and say, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. And so while, yes, we have a strategy, right? We're in alignment to our district's strategic map and strategic plan. I'm always coming up with these ideas. And so for them who are already stretched thin because we're a smaller team, I know that gets overwhelming for them. And so I think the main thing I would probably see on a review is stop coming up with so many ideas.
Wow, I should show you mine because
stop coming up with so many ideas.
I think that was probably the 7 people that said it on mine that was all consistent.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just stick with one thing.
Just stick with one thing. Let's just do one or two things really, really well. I don't know. There's this girl that I follow on Instagram, and she's a salesperson. And she always talks about putting something out that it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it out. Like, just do it. And so I think I've kind of adopted that, maybe to a fault. But we've had some really good things, like the AI conference. It was amazing that people are still talking about. Like, some really good things have come out of these chat conversations in the morning. So, yeah, I'd be curious to see what else they would say, though. I think I would say I have the people part down, just because that customer service background is so important to me. But I'd be very curious to see what else would be on there.
So the two big halves are people and then process.
Yeah.
How strong do you think you are on the process side?
I think if I had to put like percentages, like if it was a pie chart kind of thing, situation, I'd probably say, I think ideally you would want them to be 50-50. I think in my head, I don't know, I'm just visualizing this pie chart. I bet they would say 60% people, 40% process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will call them a lot of times.
That's a really good balance for someone as outgoing as yourself. To be that strong on the process side, someone that's probably 90-20, not 90-10.
And it may be 90-10.
90-20. You can see my math is really good too. Like, because I give 110%.
Every
day. 90 and 20.
Yes. That's going to be our new thing, 90-20.
I like that.
I love it. And it probably is smaller than that. Like if I really sat down and thought about it, it may be more, I don't know, 65-35, who knows, 90-10, 90-20, who knows. But I do call them a lot of times and say, help me think through this, right? Yeah. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I know I'm not. But they'll help me think through it. So they help me a lot with processing, and they'll say, oh, that's a good idea. That might not work. Let's rethink that. And I don't have a problem with that at all. So
what's really important about this, and what I found very helpful, is that when you read this, and yes, you've got these people's comments. Mm-hmm. You got to realize also that everybody is speaking from their own lived experience
Yes.
of you.
Yes.
And also too, what they want from you can be very separate to what someone else wants from you.
Yeah.
And so there was like, it was really interesting. Someone said, it would be good if James communicated a little bit more. And another one was like, it'd be good if James didn't communicate so much, like, and he just like let us get on with it. Like, so, it was,
Yeah.
and so you've also got to take it into the context of maybe what's going on. And also too, was that a direct report or was that someone that I work with? And so it was more the people that I work with know that I communicate, but I wasn't communicating downstream well enough. So that's where it was coming from. And the other thing too is to just know that it's neither good nor bad.
Right.
What it is what it is.
Yes.
It's like, well, what do I want to work on within that? Not what do I want to change?
Yes.
That's the big,
Yeah.
that was really hard for me because I
Yeah.
thought this is all about me having to change who I am, what I've got to do. I've got to be better, rather than just like, no, just see what it is. Yes, can you improve bite-sized pieces? And how much energy do you want to give that versus that?
Yeah.
Because it exposes quite a few things that you could improve on. What do you think is best for you and the organization to
Yes.
focus on now and what focus on later? So, don't beat yourself up, but I would encourage you to do it. It actually has been wonderful and quite a few people in our team are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's been really wonderful.
And I think it's important to your point. Like, don't take it personal, right? It's just to make you better, make the organization better. And even I'm thinking about it when I do their reviews and I always give them some feedback and I just, it's not personal. This is just to help us get better. So I like that.
Natasha, I could sit here and talk to you all day.
I could talk to you all day. You're
wonderful.
amazing.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I think it's had a great flow to it. And just hearing your journey, your story, how you've got to where you are today, and no shortage of challenges in the future, but you can tell, I can just sense from you, there's such hope. It's not seeing your team decrease. It's not like, hope is lost. It's not actually. It's like, I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yes.
You can sense that in your energy and that's just been wonderful for you to be part of this. And really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate
thanks so much.
you. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.